What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another AFL video for today, man. First thing first, the preview of round 11 is coming out tomorrow. Excuse me, but it will be coming out tomorrow. But shout out to my boy Jagger. As always, man, probably that's one of the best AFL documentaries on YouTube, man. Very do enjoy these. Shout out to my boy Anthony for recommending it as well. So we have the greatest team ever. That's it. Are we talking about Hawthorne? Is this prime Hawthorne when it was winning like autumn championships, doing what I think they're like the May 2000s, something like that, early 2010, stuff like that. So you're free to check it out. We see some kids in the background, and they aren't really too happy. I don't know why they're so upset. You know, they both got the arms folded. You know, they see some. They see some. I guess the 2014. So yeah, the early 2010s, last decade. Anyway, hopefully you guys are doing good, amazing, stupendous, outstanding, and terrific. And Brisbane play on Sunday. You got Adelaide. I think it's like Sunday, 2:30 a.m. my time. So it should be live for that. If nothing comes up, it should be live for that. I know I missed like the last few games. My apologies as always. But yeah, looking forward to be back with the live streams as always. And that's it. That's pretty much it. On that note, don't forget to like the video, sub. Let's get it.
Great scenes here.
Yeah, just counting down the seconds.
This when these boys are fine.
It is there, and they are home. The Hawks are home in the 2008 Grand Final.
So Hawthorn have done it. The first team in the
Good force
18-team competition to go back to back to back.
Clarkson's a genius, so I think he should
They
be.
were like 3 or 4 straight, right?
And look at a team that has to be considered one of the greatest teams this unbelievable game we love so much has ever seen.
Wasn't Buddy part of these teams, right?
That question seems easy enough to answer. Premierships. The ultimate goal of any sport is championships. And in the AFL, it's all about the team. Yeah, there are individual accolades, but there isn't really a GOAT debate, nor is there a focus on personality.
Ronnie.
Instead, the memories that last lifetimes in this game are those of the team. When great teams have sustained success, they leave behind legacies. Because, as history shows us, success is possible. Sustained success is hard. Really hard.
All that matters is winning,
Since it's
man.
been 9-3 on the back of a
And the
premiership,
Bulldogs.
came
One of the
on the back of a
favourites
16-0
almost
run
going
last
into the
year and
season. They're
came.
9-2.
There's problems. The
Bottom of the
Suns.
table.
So when a team wins 2 premierships in a row, it's remembered. And when they win 3, well, they go down as one of the greatest teams of all time. There's only 2 that have done it in the modern era, and the fight to determine which of them sits as the best of all time remains alive.
Yeah,
Recency bias will point to the most
They won
dominant
3
football
straight.
club of the last 40 years, and their blistering run from 2008 to 2015, which included 4 flags, 3 coming all in a row from 2013
So I was right. They did win 4 straight. Yeah. Chaz, just shut up. Just watch it. Just watch it.
to 2015.
Shut up.
So, nearly 10 years on, how should they be remembered? And the ultimate question, are they the best to ever do it? Hawthorn saw one of the healthiest runs in history when they went to 7 straight grand finals in the 80s for 4
Didn't they-
premierships, with another 3 flags on either side of the decade.
Yeah, we know about this.
This untold dominance deserves its own story, but the short side is that coming into the mid-90s, like all good things, the glory years Hawks came to an end.
You know what's crazy? I know, like, I kind of have been clowning Hawthorne, you know, this season. I know they're not a good team. I think we kind of know that. I mean, they if I'm correct, I think they smacked West Coast Eagles. I watched the highlights. Yeah, they smacked West Coast this past round. But we do gotta admit, you know, Hawthorne are one of like the best teams in the AFL in general, like in history. History wise, premiership stuff like that, they are freaking good. I mean,
Just 5 years after
they're
winning the
winners.
91 premiership,
Yeah.
Hawthorn came dangerously close to merging with Melbourne.
Ooh, God,
In Melbourne,
no.
there have been extraordinary scenes at tonight's historic vote on the future of both the Melbourne and the Hawthorn football clubs.
The merger attempt was thwarted, and the Hawks built into the new millennium with the ebbs and flows of any team. They were mid-table through 2 years of footy, making and then winning a couple of semi-finals before fizzling out. But the reason it's important to talk about this era is because of what they pulled off in that off-season of 2001.
Well, the draft's been good to us here at Channel 10 as well. Anthony Hudson, welcome back.
Great to be back, Jared. I was overlooked again by the AFL club. So
Well, might you say that? At pick 46, Jared Waite went to Carlton and my heart skipped a beat.
I don't think you had to worry there.
Jared White.
When defender
Jared
Luke
White.
McFarlane, who had only been at the Hawks for 2 seasons, requested a trade home to Western Australia, the Hawks had to weigh up their options. Their decision was to sweeten the deal by adding Trent Croad to the block with the intention of bulldozing the 2001 draft. Sending those two to Fremantle, they got pick 1, 20 and 36, the former and latter resulting in Luke Hodge and Sam Mitchell. This trade is arguably the single most important event in what would eventually shape a 4-time premiership side. Those two shaped the professionalism and leadership that would be vital in the winning culture that was bred. Pre-2004, Hawthorn coach Peter Schwab famously stated that Hawthorn could win the premiership on the back of promising young guns.
It was an error of judgment by me, and for a few reasons. One, I hadn't really discussed
Luke Hodge,
it with
Sam
our
Mitchell.
playing list, so that probably took them by surprise. I tried to make a statement that we'd win the premiership, and then I wanted to qualify it by saying, well, you know, that's what we should be aiming for if we're in a competition.
Almost ominously, the Hawks would fall to a horrific 4-win season. Peter Schwab was fired mid-season. Shane Crawford broke his arm and would miss most of the year and give up the captaincy. Most players were forced out or left that year, and Hawthorn, in a matter of moments, were in absolute tatters.
Damn. Boy got fired for some. I mean, he had some pretty high, ambitions, but jeez. I mean, let my guy cool it. Let my guy try to build. The architect.
Given the legacy that he left behind, it's surprising to know that the hiring of Alistair Clarkson was a weird one.
I knew he looked
The
familiar.
assumption was that the Hawks were going to go for high-profile coaches that were proven commodities. Terry Wallace and Gary Ayres were the expected targets. And so when Hawthorn chased an unknown Port Adelaide assistant, everyone was understandably confused. What was received with even more confusion was Clarkson's first decision, which was mainly to blow up the list. He delisted many older players and instituted the club's first youth policy. Hell-bent on a built-not-bought list, Clarkson did everything he could to convince the club they needed to ransack another draft. And that, they did.
Yeah, those sometimes work, but then they sometimes don't
in
work.
Perth, and then played a senior game for Perth at just 17 years old, people knew he was ready. But taking Buddy meant you were signing on for more than just a
my
football
boy.
player, and some clubs were scared of that.
Yeah, I think spoke to about 5 or 6, maybe seven clubs, but I think it's a bit of a whirlwind. But yeah, I can't really remember too much of exactly what went on in the interviews. I think there's a few well-documented things that went on in my interviews.
And that same draft year, the Hawks made 2 other key splashes that would form the backbone of premiership success. Jared Roughhead and Jordan Lewis round out a stacked 2004 top 10, both going to the Hawks.
Holy, hold up. Wait. Buddy, that jacket cool. I don't care. That's a nice jacket. That Nike, it seems like a little windbreaker. Hey, that's nice. Hey, got your credit card still. Fashion. That's nice. It's a nice
In what
jacket.
is easily one of the
nice
most
jacket.
successful draft hands of all time.
Jared
Roughhead was a ready-made forward. His high leap, an incredible set of hands, without being a dead-eye set shot, played perfect foil to Buddy, who was less a contested mark and more an athletic beast on the ground, whose foot skills could not be matched by anybody. They created a twin tower key forward rotation that could not be stopped. And Jordan Lewis was a competitive gun. He was hard at the contest and slick around stoppages. Together, him and Ruffy were the quintessential members of that Hawk side. They were professional, they were courageous, they bled brown and gold for a very long time to come. Alistair Clarkson was a disciplinarian. He combined elements of the old game with modern ways of thinking and communicating. And there was a level of ruthlessness at Glenferrie Oval that you wouldn't find anywhere else in the league. There was an expectation that if you put on that kit, you adhered to the Hawks' way of doing things, even if you had a personality outside of the game. And for most part, the players fell in line. 2005 was nothing to write home about, but there was no truer progression of a team than the way Hawthorn conducted themselves. There was serious promise out of the young Big Five, with all winning Rising Star nominations and Luke Hodge winning the best and fairest whilst finishing 4th in Brownlow voting in just his 4th year. Now, we'd be remiss if trying to categorise this team as the greatest to ever do it without exploring some of the strategies that led them there. Because surely, they had to have a point of difference beyond just good players. In 2006, Clarko implemented a box forward strategy, with Hawthorn's 4 tall forwards creating a box, instead of leading up to the goal square or forming packs. This strategy was effective at spreading the opposition's defensive talls and allowing one-on-one contests rather than large packs.
That's smart. That's very, very smart. Think about it. If you have like guys who are like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'3", stuff like that, you know what I mean? Get them like one-on-ones against other defenders in which they probably have like a strength and size advantage over them. You know, the buddies, Luke, stuff like that. I just forgot bro's name. My God, just forgot bro's name. But like, you know, get your forwards, you know, 1-on-1s against defenders and let them, you know, and let them work. You know, let them win. And if they win those 1v1s every time, dude, I mean, you're straight. That's hey, I like that game plan. But you can see how Alistair very, very like. He said, "Listen, forget the old guys. We got these youth players. You know, we draft stuff like that, and Luke Hodge, Blake Franklin, John, and other dude. I'm so bad with names, but you see, man, them boys. Hey, that's smart though. Very, very.
Though often exposed,
it doesn't always work
if
though.
Marks weren't taken. It was the first of many intriguing tactics that would eventually shape the structure of the AFL. Using the Hawks as an example.
Basically
2006 was an up and down year, but they finished 11th, which was an improvement, and the grounds for a 2-year, very important contract extension for Alastair Clarkson. 2007 was the first year where the Hawks looked remotely like the team we're talking about.
Boy got contract
they were
extension.
disciplined, hard, and chalked up a 15-win season. The crowning moment of the 07 season came on elimination final day against Adelaide at the Telstra Dome. Most point to this moment as Lance Franklin's coming of age, when a 20-year-old buddy took a mark 55 out from goal with the Hawks down 3. He turned around and didn't even second guess going straight for home. The degree of difficulty of that kick, near the boundary, on the wrong side for a left footer, beyond the arc, you would forgive any player for chipping it to the top of the square and hoping that someone else would do something spectacular. But the ease in which Franklin punted that thing straight through, you could just tell he was ready for the big time. Oh, and it's probably important to mention that was his 7th goal of the day. The papers went crazy after that game. Buddy Franklin had arrived and was fast becoming a household name. Despite bowing out to North Melbourne the following week, the Hawks were on the right path, and that win against Adelaide could prove no bigger point in time to mark the beginning of the reign the Hawks would begin to enjoy over the next few years.
Coming out for your buddy.
Another important piece of tactical play that is attributed to Alastair Clarkson is a strategy that became known in the media as the Clarkson Cluster. This was a defensive zone that, in simple terms, shut off access to the middle of the ground. In this era of football, the best sides were the fast ones, and there's no faster way to get from coast to coast than straight through the middle. So when Clarkson came up with a pyramid-style defensive structure high up the ground, rather than just sitting back in the defensive 50 man-on-man, it threw a whole lot of teams. Essentially, when the team coming out of the defensive 50 ran into the cluster in the middle of the ground, they were forced to play the ball wide out to the wings, in which the cluster would respond by closing around the football. It's too late to switch the play and too crowded to make effective kicks up the side.
So you gotta
go
backwards.
It was genuine genius, and it resulted in heaps of turnovers that set Buddy Franklin and Jared Roughead up for space in the 50 barrels of snaps.
Yeah, his name.
Apart from being an incredible strategy, the reason it worked was because of the footy brains and leadership that the Hawks had on field. Luke Hodge and Sam Mitchell were masters at directing traffic. They could focus on the ball and their own skills, while also keeping equal eyes out for teammates out of position or holes in the Hawks structure. They melded perfectly with Alastair Clarkson, who coached like a true tactician. Things always had to move and adapt, and if any part of it didn't go exactly to plan, they would be left massively exposed. But Clarkson's genius had the perfect on...
Hawthorn today announced Alastair Clarkson will be given a new contract beyond current deal. Damn. It's kind of ironic how like we're talking and praising Alastair Clarkson, and then we'll find out Hawthorn not even going to renew my boy's contract.
With a plan, they would be left massively exposed. But Clarkson's genius had the perfect on-field generals to ensure it remained genius, because there was no better on-field pointing than that done by Luke Hodge. Their big young keys were as good as they could have been. Lance Franklin famously kicked 100 goals, with the last coming against Carlton in a classic shootout with Brendan Favola, watched by the entire nation.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy was the first to do that since Fraser Gehrig, and there's a decent chance he'll be the last as well. Interestingly, Joe Roughhead kicked 66 goals that same year, which on its own would have won the last 3 Coleman medals. The Hawks were unsociable, physical, rough, and skilled. They conceded free kicks, but they brought a physical presence to each game that put teams on the back foot straight away. In 2008, they would head to the finals confident, but the accepted assumption was that the Cats would go back-to-back without breaking a sweat. They were just too good. When the Hawks made short work of the Dogs and Saints to face off against the Cats in the 2008 Grand Final, they were severe underdogs.
So they prevent Geelong from going 3P.
The cluster couldn't have worked any better. They stopped the Cats, the unbeatable Geelong, by taking away their quick corridor play in one of the most important upsets of the era. The stories were incredible. You had the young core in their early 20s paired with wiry veterans who were desperate for their first chip. The discussion had surrounded the draft hands and young guns, but the work of Trent Crode, Stuart Dew, Campbell Brown and Shane Crawford was not to be understated.
That's what I'm talking about!
There was some crazy stuff to come out of this game. You might look at the scoreline and assume that Geelong's inaccuracy was the sole cause of the result. And although it contributed, 11 of their 23 behinds were purposeful rush behinds by Hawthorn to quell any forward pressure that Geelong were attempting to put on. Then, out of the kickouts, Hawthorn were deadly. This around the ground intelligence was the perfect way to counter Geelong's midfield dominance. The rule was changed just the following year by the AFL that gave umpires the power to award a free kick in front of goal against a team who was deemed to purposefully rush a behind without pressure. So, this young team had just won the premiership and were poised to take over.
So these boys were like changing the game to a degree. Like they was, I guess, like abusing certain mechanics in the rule book to your own benefit to win this game. I mean, hey, it worked. It worked. Hey, it worked. It worked. I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. It worked.
So now, here's this.
What they don't have, I don't think, is the quality of some of our players, but they don't have the psychological drive that we have. We've beaten Geelong.
Again, that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Shout out to my boy Jagger. Scale back is off, man. Top video. What Alistair Clarkson did, man. Same with Sam Mitchell and Hodge, getting them into, getting them on board, and with those two really just starting the foundation. I mean, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. Then obviously again, Jared, Buddy, the other guys as well, with this little cluster in the middle. Which, hey, Alistair Clarkson, he was like a little innovator, man. He was, his tech. His teaching of the game was very, very unique. Are they the greatest team ever? You guys let them know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video. Sub as always. Take care. Stay amazing. Peace.